welcome to the Phoenix Rising Podcast. I am Ashley Drummond, your host, and good morning. It's good morning for me. I'm not sure what time you're listening to this. Some of you said that you listen to this at night. Some of you listen to this during the day. So regardless of what time of day it is, hi and welcome. I hope you're ready to get inspired and empowered. I always like acknowledging when you guys leave comments and reviews and feedback. So for this episode, the shout out is for Pentley. Pentley, thank you so much for the comment that you left on the YouTube platform, telling me that you heard everything that you needed to hear in last week's podcast episode about the intuition and the ego, and that you felt like that podcast and video was made specifically for you. That makes me so happy because yeah, you're right. Like sometimes when I'm feeling restless and like, man, I got to say what I got to say, every time I start to like question it or like, maybe I'll put this off for another day, then someone like you or another listener leaves a comment and tells me something like, hey, like, thank you for taking the time to make this. That episode really connected directly with me. So Pentley, thank you. I am so glad that you got exactly what you needed to hear and you felt like something was talking directly to you with your intuition to just like keep believing and keep going. And I appreciate you taking the time to write that comment and let me know. So thank you for that. I also got another email, people asking how they can contact me directly, either for feedback or for questions, or if you're wanting to, I don't know, just let me know your thoughts. And the easiest way, if you guys want a direct response from me, is to contact on Instagram. I have the social media link in the description of this show. So if you guys have like a specific question or something you want me to talk about, that's the easiest way to get a direct response from me. You can also just go to the website in the show notes, ashleydrummonds.com, and there's a contact form, and fill that out with whatever message you have, and someone from the team will get back to you. All right, so on that note, let's get into today's episode. I wanted to talk about what to do on days that you're having a bad day, and not just like having a bad day, but like I was trying to figure out how to title this, like just one of those days where you're like, man, it is just wall after wall after wall, and like nothing seems like it's going right. And like, you guys know what I'm talking about. The days where like you get a flat tire and then like your phone all of a sudden stops working, and then like your dog or cat is like throwing up in the corner, and then like you stub your toe on the couch and you're just like, God damn it, like what is happening today? So I wanted to talk about this and like how you can best navigate that without totally losing your mind, but also still kind of navigating it in a way that is in your best interest. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I actually had this experience. It wasn't a rough day. It was like a rough 72 hours, y'all. Like you know that I'm all about like mindset and subconscious and your beliefs and affirmations and focusing your intention and your attention where you want to go. So don't focus on what's going wrong, focus on what's going right, and all of these things. And there was this about like a week ago, there was 2 or 3 days, I'm not kidding you, very rarely do I get like, I mean, my patience tolerance is pretty high. Very rarely do I get pushed to an extreme where I'm just like, I quit. I can't anymore. I'm done. Like I've done everything I can and like this isn't working. But I do believe sometimes life pushes us to that point to get us to just stop. Like just stop trying so hard. Like life is not meant to be this uphill battle. And a lot of times when we are constantly just hitting walls and rejection and obstacles and all this stuff, intuitively we sometimes interpret that as like, oh, I got to try harder, like let me keep chasing this, let me keep doing this. And sometimes the best thing that you can do is just stop, pause, let it go. I almost said stop, drop, and roll, like when you did fire what are they called, fire drills, the stop, drop, and roll. But like now this is just like your fire drill for when like you feel like your brain's on fire. You can just stop, pause, and let go. And sometimes that is so much easier said than done. So I wanted to give like some tips and just talk about if you are having a rough day, or maybe you're going through a rough season, what you can do to kind of get back into the flow of things so it doesn't feel like every area you turn to is faced with resistance. Because when we're working in the flow of life and when we're functioning from like our heart and our soul, which we talked about in the last episode, and when we're really in alignment with the things that are best for us, there really isn't a whole lot of resistance. It's usually when things just seem to be flowing and like serendipity finds us and the right doors are opening and all of a sudden like the right person shows up and like everything works out. But what do you do when that is not what you are experiencing? And instead, like I was experiencing last week, you feel like your back's up against the wall. So I'm going to share with you what I do and how it can help, and hopefully like just one, knowing that you're not the only person who experiences this, but two, like there are ways you can re-navigate it. So here's the story. Is like a week ago, I've been trying to figure out a lot of things in my life, both personally, both with this podcast, with career, with like, do I want to keep living where I'm living? Do I want to live somewhere else? Like, what do I do with these relationships? What do I do with like all these, like just a lot of big decisions having to be made. And I thought I was navigating them intuitively. And the result of that was lots of tears, lots of frustration, and lots of resistance, to the point that I have to tell you guys this much, because this is how the day was going, that I was like, man, I got to talk about this on the podcast episode because I know people have had these experiences and it is so infuriating. And the question is, what do you do when this happens? So I had already been I was pursuing some things career-wise that seemed I was like, oh, this is an open door. Like, clearly, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I started pursuing them. And, like, it was one of those things where, like, everything seemed like it made sense. Everything seemed like it lined up. Almost like where it seems like a no-brainer, easy shoe-in opportunity. So I was like, all right, well, like, this is the direction I'm going. And this is what I'm going to do. And I actually really need this. And this would be great. And all that stuff. And like, I start going down this path and I'm pursuing this opportunity and I get ghosted. And I'm not talking I get ghosted like by one person. I get ghosted by 3 people that I know personally, which makes no sense. So I'm like, okay, like I feel like I was supposed to be open to this opportunity and I'm open to it. And now like I've had these conversations and everybody's like, yeah, that sounds great. Like, let's do this. And then I send the text message and no response. So then I make a phone call, no response. So then I send an email, no response. And I'm like, this is really weird. And whether it's like, maybe it's not career for you, maybe it's dating. Lord knows everybody's been ghosted in the dating world. Jesus, like, come on. Anywho, whatever it is. So like, you're having this moment where it feels like it's really right. And then something like this happens and you're like, I don't understand. Like, it seemed like this was the right opportunity or the right person or the right path, but what happened? So this is like going back to this story because you guys know I like using myself as your own personal example. I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, I know how the game of life works. I'm not going to put attention on the fact that they're not responding to me. I'm just going to let it go and I'm going to stay open. So this other opportunity presents itself and I'm like, oh, perfect. That's why all of that didn't work out, because this is what was supposed to work out. Cool. This makes total sense. So I put all my attention and energy on this. Same exact thing happens. Seemed like a done deal, a shoo-in thing, and then all of a sudden ghosted. So at this point, this is like number 2. I'm like, okay, let me just take a couple deep breaths. I don't really like being ghosted or ignored, but also like I know everything works out in my best interest. I trust the process. I know that like life is always working for me, not against me. I trust that this is like for my greatest good and all this stuff. So I let that go. Y'all, this is within like 48 hours. So then another opportunity presents itself. Same exact thing. At this point, my deep breaths are more like lots of like huffing and puffing. Not like, oh, this is like a calm Zen deep breath. More like, okay, life loves me. This is all going to work out. It's fine. I'm not going to get mad. This makes no, like obviously what I am saying is not actually how I'm feeling. But so I'm like, I can't do anything about this. I'm going to let this go. It's fine. When situations like this happen, where you are just like, closed door, closed door, closed door, okay. What I like to do and what usually works is I step back, I take a break, I take a breath, maybe I take a day, maybe I sleep on it, and I totally let it go, knowing that I'm going to feel better the next day figuring things out because I'm going to have a fresh perspective. I'll have new brain cells from getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, like all these things. If I can't do that, then what I'll do is I'll step back from the situation and go do something to make myself feel a little bit lifted and elevated. So for example, in this situation, it was around, I don't know, like 2-3 o'clock that this was happening. I was feeling a little frustrated and irritable. I also probably needed a little more food just because like I was busy, so I had gone some extra time without eating. So I put my phone down, I was in my car, I took some deep breaths, and I was like, okay, Ashley, what do you need right now? Not like, what do I need with this situation? What do I need to try to make happen or anything like that? Like right now in this moment, what do I need? And in that moment, what I needed was food. I was like, honestly, I just really I want to get something to eat in a quiet place. I just want to sit down in silence, like maybe at a park, and eat my food and get regrounded and reconnected to myself, because then I know that I'll be able to handle this better. So, to continue this story and share with you, and sharing this, hoping that you feel a bit of solidarity, but also you're going to brush off when you are having a bad day or a rough patch. So that's where I get to at this point. After crying, feeling frustrated, upset and all those things, I'm like, okay, I'm going to let this go. What do I need right now? And that was the answer. I need food, I need rest, and I'm just going to sit and be still and all of that. So the next steps is I'm like, all right, let me look on GPS, because I was in an area I was not familiar with. Let me just go find some good, healthy, soul nourishing food. And I found this place. Found a place that seemed like a super good, organic, I could just build a bowl or whatever. I'm like, perfect. Thank you, universe, for bringing this into my life and making this so simple. I drive there. I get to this place and there's a sign on the door. Sorry, we are closed today due to manufacturing issues. And I held my breath for a second. I was like, nope, not getting mad at this, not doing it. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. It's just redirection. Let me go back to my GPS. So I go back to my GPS. I find another place. I'm like, oh, this is probably the better option. Who knows? Maybe I would have gotten food poisoning at this place and the universe is saving me and sending me somewhere else. Thank you, universe. Let me go to this other option. So I go to this other option. I drive another 5 to 10 minutes and I get to this place. Closed today due to a private event. I was like, oh my God. Okay. One more. I have to eat. I don't have any food. I have to eat, universe. You want to keep throwing slam doors at me? That's fine. You want to see how long I can handle it? That's fine. I have to eat though. So let me just figure this out. You guys, I'm not kidding you. Next thing is I was like, all right, where can I go that I know there's going to be food and they're not going to be closed on me and I know I can get healthy food? I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Whole Foods. I love Whole Foods. Whole Foods makes me so happy because everything there, I know if I buy it, it's organic, it's clean. I don't have to worry about junk being in it. And they have the hot bar. I'm just going to go to Whole Foods. I'm going to get the hot bar. It's going to be fine. I drive another 5 to 10 minutes out of my way. I get to this place. I go inside. I am not shitting you. The hot bar is closed due to malfunctioning equipment. Here's what's happening is I get back in my car. I get my phone. I throw my phone on the floor in the passenger seat because at this point I'm pissed off. And I am having a fight with the universe in my car. I am like pissed off, like a child throwing a temper tantrum. I'm crying because I feel like I'm doing everything wrong. And I'm like, you know what? I was trusting you to take care of me. You dangle this bait, dropping these opportunities in front of me, and then you slam the door on me multiple times and I get ghosted. Do you think that's funny? I don't think that's funny, and I don't really appreciate that. So then you decide, like, Ashley, why don't you go get some food? Is this another cruel joke? You think it's funny that I'm hangry and I need food, but then when I try and get food, every place is closed? It's not nice, and I don't appreciate it. So I'm going off. I'm having this entire fight to myself in the parking lot of Whole Foods with the universe because it feels like a bully. I'm like, all right, what can I do right now? What can I do? I've done every freaking affirmation I can do. I have tried to find the positive and the good in this situation, and nothing is working out. I'm tired of like trying to make this happen. I need some food. I don't know why people ghost people. I'm tired of the opportunity. Like, I'm going through all of this. And then eventually, here's what I did. And this is what always happens. I stopped trying to have a good day. And you might be laughing and like think that's so simple and stupid, but honestly, this always works. And this is why I want to talk about this, because most people, I doubt that every single day is like that for you. There's some days, like maybe you have one thing, like maybe traffic is annoying, or maybe like, I don't know, like your food was cold. Maybe you didn't work out that great. Like maybe there's one thing, but like you can brush that off. I don't feel like it happens every single day that you are just left and right hitting walls. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys saw that movie. Let me think about this. I think it's called Four Christmases with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn. And they go to like his parents' house. If you haven't seen it, there's this scene where Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn are dating, and they go to his mom's house, and his mom's kind of like hippie-ish, very free-spirited, we'll just say that. But they decide to play, I think it's Taboo, where like you're describing a word, but there's certain words you can't say. And Vince Vaughn is trying to play, and he's got some word, and when you play this game, someone next to you has a buzzard. So a buzzer, not a buzzard like a bird, a buzzer. And if you say a word that you're not allowed to say, somebody will buzz you. So in this scene, Vince Vaughn is simply trying to describe this word, and every word that he's describing, when he says it, his mom immediately is like, can't say that. He's like, okay. So he starts to talk and try another word, and she's like, can't say that. Can't say that. And he's like, Mom! Yes, I can. I am just trying to describe this. That is exactly how I felt. Like, all right, I'm going to go get some food. And it's like, can't eat that. And I'm like, oh my God. What made it all better, though, is I stopped trying to fix it. I stopped trying to reverse it. I stopped trying to control it. I stopped trying to resist it and make it better. And after my little temper tantrum in the car, I was like, okay, now that I got that out, I took a deep breath and I just accepted, like, okay, I'm just going to lower my expectations for the day, not for my life, not for the week, not for the month. I'm not lowering my expectations for my career. I'm not lowering my expectations for anything, but I am lowering my expectations in this moment for the day. And I am just going to chalk this up as one of those days. And I'm not going to write a story about this, that this means like, oh, I'm not meant to do this, or I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm not supposed to go there, or this or that. I'm just going to let this be today. Chalk it up to like, yep, sometimes we have shitty days. Yep, sometimes things just like make no sense and go down this totally different path that we have no control over. But I'm not going to write a story about it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a back seat to the day. the 24 hours I'm in right now, and I'm going to go rest. I'm going to get some sleep, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and it's going to be a new day with a new perspective and a whole new experience. The second I did that, I was able to find food, really good food. I immediately felt way more relaxed and a little more open. And I was able to just take things moment by moment. I think the problem is what happens when we have days like that, or even seasons of a week, a month, maybe it's years, is we resist it so much and we refuse to accept it. But we also write this huge, massive story around it. When sometimes all you really need to do is just like, okay, so maybe today's an off day. Maybe today we don't crush it. Maybe today, like, we're just a little off our game and things are a little out of sync. It doesn't mean I'm out of sync. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean I'm on the wrong path. It just means like, hey, just take 24 hours. Maybe take a step back, take a break, rest, recharge, re-energize. If you have a bad workout, that doesn't mean you totally lost all of your muscle or that you're totally like falling back into old bad habits or anything like that. It's just maybe your body's a little tired today. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you didn't eat enough. Maybe it needs more rest. You don't need to write a whole story because you had one bad experience or one bad season or one bad day. That's the important part. And if there's like any piece of advice that I can give, both based off my own experience and just like our collective experience as humans, is when you have those days where you feel like your back is up against the wall and that nothing is working and you are just facing resistance from every direction that you turn, let it happen. Wave the white flag for that day. Go home and just like call it a binge day. Not eating, but I mean like where you just like sit on the couch and you just rest. Like just totally check out and be like, you know what, I quit today. I quit for the next 24 hours. Like I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. That's what I did. But with the understanding of knowing I'm not quitting forever. I'm not quitting anything. But today, I think it's best that I surrender and I just let things happen. And I stop trying to resist it. Because here's what's interesting. Here's what's interesting about life. While it feels, and I know this for myself too, so half of the temper tantrum that I was throwing in my car was less to the universe and more to myself. When we are facing that much like resistance or rejection or closed doors, it is usually something in us deeply subconscious protecting us. It's crazy, but it's the truth. Because every single time in hindsight, fast forward 6 months, a year, 10 years, you look back, you're like, oh, thank God that didn't work out. Because now I have this. Thank God that relationship, or thank God that person didn't text me back because I met this person, or because I found out that person was a psycho. Thank God that like job didn't work out or whatever didn't work out. So when you're facing all these walls and these resistance, there is something in you deeply subconscious, here's what you have to accept, that knows what is best for you and is always guiding you. Always. So you can pursue something functioning from your intellect, from your mind, of like, oh, this makes sense. On paper, like, yeah, logically, this is what I should do. But then there's a much, much deeper part of yourself that knows so much more, that can see so much more, that has such a higher level of awareness and consciousness than you do, that is going to trump whatever you do intellectually. So you can pursue whatever you want, you can try whatever you want, but if deep down you got this like superpower, subconscious, intuition, soul, universe, whatever you feel comfortable calling it, that's like, listen, that's not going to make you happy. That's not what you really want. Using the example like I use, like maybe that day that I couldn't find food is because it's like, Ashley, this isn't what you really want. What you really want is this, which is ultimately what I found, like a quiet little cafe that had really fresh salmon and vegetables and rice and salad and really nice people and all this stuff that I probably wouldn't have gotten somewhere else. And then even with opportunities with jobs, like, okay, like I know you're pursuing this because it makes sense, because you need money or you need the opportunity or you need whatever. But in the long run, I know this isn't what you really want and it's not what's going to really make you happy. So instead, I'm going to say no to this right now because I need you to be available to what really is going to make you happy later. So if you're having a rough patch, a rough day, a rough season, like just one of those days, my suggestion and my advice would be, if you got to throw a temper tantrum and cry about it like I did, do that. If you got to go scream in your car, y'all, the amount of times I have screamed in my car out of frustration, or I have like argued with the universe, do whatever you got to do and then just surrender for the day. Give yourself permission, like, hey, I'm going to quit today. I just quit. Today wins. That's fine. But don't quit in the long run. Just let it be and trust. That's the hardest part, is when like things don't make sense and we don't understand and we're frustrated because we're trying and we're trying and we're trying and we just can't figure out the clues. Stop trying. Just trust, just rest, and know that there is something in you that knows what it's doing, even if you don't totally understand it, even if it doesn't make sense. There is a deeper part of you that knows what is ultimately going to make you happy, be the highest and best path for you. And maybe it looks totally different than what you thought was best. Maybe it's something completely different than what you thought or expected, but let that happen, because I can tell you with complete confidence and experience, when you do that, every time it works out better than you had planned. Every time. I've had this happen with stuff that I've pursued in my business, where I'm trying really, really hard to make something happen and it's working for everybody else, but it's not working for me. And I'm getting like, I'm taking it personal of like, the universe hates me. It's working for everybody else, but it's not working for me. And then like a different path opens up for me, and it's a path that's more natural and flows better and makes more sense for what I'm doing. And then I look back and I'm like, well, actually, I'm glad that didn't work out, because that seems boring and I like what I'm doing way better. But when you're in it, it's so easy to take it personal, as if like the universe has some resentment towards you. And I've had it happen with dating too, where I've been like stuck on one person. And I'm like, universe, I don't understand. Like, why isn't it working with this person? This is the right thing. This is the right path. All these things of like daydreaming about how perfect it is. And then I finally let go, and maybe it's a week, maybe it's months, maybe it's years. Someone else shows up and I'm like, oh, this person's way better than that other person. Like, I'm way happier in this situation. Like, thank God that didn't work out, because this is like a much better fit for me. But it takes you getting to the place of stop trying to do what you think is best. Trust your intuition and follow that guidance. And if you keep getting resistance and blocks and walls and feeling that way, like your back is up against the wall, then let your back be up against the wall. Slide your butt down to the ground, take a seat, and just give up for the day. Like I said, I'm not telling you to give up forever. I'm not telling you to fall in this deep, dark hole and think that like life hates you. I am telling you that you are functioning in those moments out of alignment, and life is simply giving you these resistance experiences to get you back into alignment. So when you stop and you get still and you just surrender, not only do you relax, your body relaxes, and when you're relaxed, you become more open to new thoughts, more open to new ideas, new paths, and new directions. So like physically and energetically, you relax a little bit and you open up. You breathe a little lighter, because now you're no longer like tense and holding on. Then you can make new choices and you can move in different directions, and you can see like, oh, maybe these aren't walls. Or maybe they are, but they were just keeping me on the right path. Maybe that is a closed door, but there's 3 other open doors over here. Maybe that person didn't text me back or call me back or email me back, but all these other people are. it just shifts your focus and your perspective to see what is working. But to get to that point, you got to stop resisting what's happening. And I know there's so many times, like myself included, you can be strong, you can persevere, you can have resiliency like nobody else. You can be the toughest person in the room, but there are days sometimes where you're done. You're tired, you're exhausted. Everything you planned, you're out of tricks. You're like, all right, that was my last Hail Mary and it didn't work. I don't know what to do. And if that happens, relax. I know it's so, and like, that's the thing, is it's so counterintuitive, especially if you're like for me, I've been up against like deadlines with decisions, which makes it hard because like, it's counterintuitive because the first thing you think of is stress. Like, I got to figure this out. There's pressure, there's deadlines. I got to make decisions fast. But if you can relax, the answers come to you a lot quicker. The other thing too, this is a very simple thing, but it has been both like scientifically proven and just like from a mental health state. If you're in one of those places, one of the absolute best things you can do to get regrounded and like just to relax your whole nervous system is to take a walk. Take a walk, and not with your like phone and social media. I mean, literally take a walk and be totally present with every single step, every tree, every cloud, every lizard or bird or squirrel that comes across your path. And it doesn't have to be a lot, 10 to 20 minutes. And it has been proven to reset your nervous system. So some days, especially like, because I mean, most of us like have a lot of time that we're alone or we're inside, especially days if I am working inside a lot by myself and I am just like stuck in my head, I will put everything down and I will go outside, no phone, no headphones, no nothing. And I'll just take like a little 10-minute walk, especially in the sun. The sun is like a little like magical thing. It raises our serotonin, our vitamin D, it structures our melatonin, it relaxes our nervous system, it heals a lot of diseases. Like, just go take a walk. Take a walk and breathe and know that I had days like that last week and they suck. But the best thing you can do that is so counterintuitive is just to let go and stop trying and forcing and just surrender for the day. And tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to give myself permission today to just quit and do nothing. And today I give up and I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to get sleep. And tomorrow, literally, I have brand new brain cells. I have brand new perspective. I'm going to be more refreshed and I'll worry about this tomorrow. But today, I'm done. That's all I'm going to do. And that's okay. You can be somebody who is like super optimistic and focused and goal driven and ambitious and strong and incredible and still have bad days. It doesn't mean you're a quitter and it doesn't mean you're a failure and it doesn't mean anything about you. It just means sometimes life is telling you, hey, you're not really taking the best path right now, or hey, this isn't really the best decision. So we're trying to help you with that. And if you could just stop resisting and instead rest, we can work a lot better for you. So I just wanted to share that because I know sometimes when we go through those periods or we have those days, it can feel very isolated and lonely and like we are the only ones having those experiences. But I can promise you that you're not at all. And the thing that keeps us stuck in those experiences is writing a whole story of what it means about us. So I'm here to tell you and remind you, if you're going through a rough patch or you're going through a rough season or you're a rough day or week or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, that's not your day. And just because you're not like at your highest point, that doesn't mean that you won't be. Just because you're going through a healing process or maybe a transformation, like a lot of times when you hit these low points, a low point or a stuck point or whatever point, like a lot of times it's because you're going through a transformation. There's a process. There's a process of shedding old things, of letting go of old things that no longer serve you or fit you or are no longer part of your growth. And you can't catapult from letting go into who you need to become. And there's a little bit of this in between, which is a transformation time where it's kind of like a seesaw effect or a pendulum where you go back and forth. You're trying to do things the old way, or you're trying to go down a path you used to go down, or maybe what you used to do worked and now it doesn't. So like part of the resistance we face sometimes in these things is we are growing and evolving and becoming somebody new, but there's like a little bit of a catch up we have to go through in our thinking patterns. So while life is directing us to this like new version of ourselves, or this like elevated or evolved version of ourselves, or something greater for us, our thinking sometimes habitually will fall back into old patterns. And so like that's why I call it this like transformation process, because it's like a back and forth. Like 80% of the time you're thinking from this new place, you're acting like this new person, you're going to the gym, you're doing your nutrition, you're getting your sleep, you're meditating, you're focused on your goals, you're doing all these things. And then every now and then you have a bad day, that 20% old habit energy kicks back in. You start following old thought patterns. You start making choices based off of old experiences. This worked one time, so let me go back down this path. This is the job I used to do, so let me go back to this job. These are the people I used to hang out with. Let me go back to these people. Like when it comes up, it's just simply, it's habit energy. That's all. Doesn't mean you're going down the wrong path. So like you can even use that as a tool, as if you're having one of those days and like old thoughts are coming up, doubt, fear, resistance, scarcity, lack. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I can't do this. I don't have what it takes. Instead of attaching to those and identifying with them, like we talked about in last week's episode with the ego, you can just look at it and be like, oh, there's that old habitual energy and those old habitual thought patterns coming up. Like, yep, I see you. And sometimes they win. And you can just be like, today, you win. Today, I quit. Today, my old self got the best of me. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Let it happen. And then tomorrow, I'll be like, all right, I'm back at it. I got some sleep. I got some food. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like myself. Not today. Today, I am focused on becoming who I want to become. I'm going to give myself a little compassion and grace as I am going through my own transformation. And maybe I quit yesterday, but I'm going to keep moving forward, because I know one day, one bad day, one rough season does not mean you're a bad person, or that you're going to have a bad life, or that you're going to have a bad rest of this year. It's just 24 hours. So don't let one rough season or one bad day totally knock you off your game or convince you that you're still not going to do incredible things. You're still going to be who you need to be. You're still on the best path. So wherever you are, whatever you're going through, if any of this resonated with you, just take a breath, pause, rest, maybe take a little personal day, go take a day off, get some sleep, some food, and then come back tomorrow knowing tomorrow's a new day and you have the ability to make new choices and go down a whole new path on the next day. That's all I got for you today. If you have not already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. You can subscribe anywhere that podcasts are played. You can also watch this on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate you guys so much, and I absolutely love being able to be a part of your day and knowing how much this helps you and inspires you and motivates you. So please keep letting me know, because I do personally read, not relieve. I do personally read the comments and the reviews and the messages you guys send in. So I really appreciate you. I hope that you know that you are so much stronger than you think you are and more capable than you think you are, and you trust that. And until the next episode, I will see you in about a week on the Phoenix Rising podcast. Bye, guys.